Good evening and welcome to Build Back Better in Arundel County. I'm Anne Arundel County Executive Stuart Pittman, and we have a topic tonight that is a little less heavy than some of the ones that we've been covering in recent virtual town halls. And uh, and that's why I'm wearing this silly looking shirt tonight. I pulled it out of my closet. I've never actually worn this shirt. I think somebody gave it to me for Christmas years and years ago, but I think it's supposed to be worn when you're on vacation. And a lot of us would be going places for our vacations were it not for the coronavirus. And so it's occurred to me that it's really not necessary to go anywhere to see beautiful things and amazing history and really really great tourist attractions. They're all right here in Anne Arundel County. And as I ran for this office and traveled around the county and saw things I'd never seen before, that just kept hitting me in the face that this county is so beautiful. And I think that's why we came up with the slogan, the best place, and then the best place for all, because we have open space, we have agricultural land, we have history, we have the Chesapeake Bay and beautiful, beautiful inlets, rivers coming in from the Chesapeake Bay, and then we have some cool stuff to do that we built with our we have a racetrack, we have a casino, we have Arundel Mills Mall, we have military installations that have their own tourist attractions. It's really not necessarily necessary to travel the world. So what I've done tonight is brought in some folks who will talk to you about some of the great stuff in Anne Arundel County to do while you are not traveling the world. And I've got Rick Anthony, who directs our Rec and Parks Department, and he's going to talk about some of the beautiful parks that we have and things to do there. We've got Carol Benson from the Four Rivers Heritage Area, who's going to talk about some of the historical, incredible places that we have to visit in this county. And then also Jane Cox, the Chief of Cultural Resources for the Office of Planning and Zoning, who's going to talk more about some of the historical tourism that we have. And then we have Alice Estrada, who's the president of our Maritime Museum, which is an incredible place to go and see the the history of the water and the watermen and women and what that has to offer, and tell us about a really cool new boat that they've got that we can go on. And then finally, we have, to wrap it all up, Susan Seifried, who works for Visit Annapolis in Anne Arundel County. She's the true professional whose job it is to market this county to the rest of the world, and she can tell us about some of the great attractions that we have. So that's our purpose. You can, if you're watching on Facebook, you can, in the comments section, put questions, or you can put things that you've seen in this county that you'd like other people to know about in the comment section, and then that will be forwarded to my screen. So we'll get to that after we get through everybody, and we'll either answer questions or share some of your cool locations in this county, so that others can vacation in Anne Arundel County. So let's start with Rick Anthony.
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. This is certainly a fun opportunity to be able to talk a little bit about our department. Before I do, though, I do have to give a shout out to my staff who have already been on the kind of front line of the fallout from COVID. Our parks have been heavily, heavily visited over these last few months, and they've really done a fantastic job. So just want to give kudos to all of them. They're all superstars. But I could probably take most of the time just talking about all the amenities that we have at Rec and Parks. I'm going to just try to do kind of a high level overview, and we're going to focus on our regional parks. And our regional parks are mainly parks that are staffed, and they are a lot different than our community parks. Most of our regional parks are waterfront parks and just have a lot of acreage, just a ton of things to do. And the first one I kind of want to highlight is Downs Park. Again, a beautiful park with the views of the Chesapeake Bay. It's on the end of a peninsula. Some of the things to do there, there is a dog beach there. There is actually two canoe and kayak launches. One would actually get you on the Bodkin River, and that's one that we've opened up maybe a couple years ago. Then they have one inside the park. They have playground, pavilions, and just a beautiful place to have a staycation. The other one is Fort Smallwood, which is right up the road. At Fort Smallwood, again, all of our parks are kind of unique. They have their own little personalities. At Fort Smallwood, we have actually a swimming beach, one of the two that we offer in the county. It's very, very heavily attended. So if you come, definitely get there early. Also at Fort Smallwood, we have our first trailered boat ramp. So if you are a boater or a fisherman, this is a perfect place to launch your boat and to get out in that area on the water. And then we have a park that I want to highlight that's not on the water. It's Kinder Farm. And again, this is a 288-acre park, 2.4 miles of paved trail. And the theme here is obviously a farm. So there's farm animals, there's athletic fields, there's just so many different things to do here for the family. We actually just put a new playground here. It's one of the largest playgrounds that we have, and it has shade structure. And so if you're a family with kids and they want to come out, certainly this is the kind of a spot to be, and plenty of things to do there for them. And I'll move on to Beverly Triton Nature Park. This park is one of our newest parks to our regional park system. It is currently being master planned and developed as we speak to put in more infrastructure, but the park is open. And we certainly get a good amount of visitors there each weekend and during the week. It's a great place to have hiking. There are natural trails around three lakes there, beautiful views of the Chesapeake Bay. So for picnicking and just walking with your feet in the water, it's a great place to be. And then less than 2 or 3 miles up the road from Beverly Triton, we have our Mayo Beach Park, which is our second swimming designated park in the county. This park is very small and kind of limited, so we open it up only on Saturdays and Sundays during the summer. But again, there's a canoe, kayak launch point, swimming, and just another great chance to get out and enjoy what we have here in the Chesapeake Bay. And then we move on to our Quiet Waters Park, which is right in the heart of Annapolis. Many people are familiar with this park. It is so diverse. We kind of call it the jewel of our park system because there's so many different things to do here. It's an art exhibit in the visitor center. There's actually ice skating rink for the winter time. We do have a vendor here with canoe stand-up paddleboarding and canoe and kayaks, dog beaches, dog parks, and just so many things. I just can't name them all, but it is very, very popular park in the middle of Annapolis, very diverse. And we also have paved trails. So just if you're just ready to come for a walk or a picnic, it's one of the best places to be. And I have to mention Jug Bay. It's not again, a well-known park system, but and Jane's going to talk a little bit more about the research and the stuff that we do there. If you just love nature, it is a wetland sanctuary. And it is open limited times of the year. We just want to protect the property as best we can. But beautiful views of Patuxent, and again, a great place to hike and just explore. We get plenty of people there all through the year. The second thing I just want to highlight is our trail system. And this is more of active recreation where people are definitely getting out and riding. We have several trail systems in the county. Probably our most popular one is the BNA Trail, and that's about 13 miles that goes from Bolter's Way to Dorsey Road. Actually connects near the airport, but we also have South Shore Trail, the WBNA Trail, and we are still in the middle of adding to those trail spurs. So if you're a bicycle, which is definitely one of the things that are on the rise here, is plenty of people are getting out now and getting back on their bikes, and it's a great thing to do. I actually got my bike for the first time over these past 2 months and got out there, and it's a great thing to do, especially during these times where we're being very cautious. Another thing that's on the rise is golf, and golf is making a big comeback. We have a beautiful 36-hole course in Pasadena, Compass Point, and the numbers have just been great through the summer. It is a sport that you can practice distancing, just get outside and get some exercise and enjoy the outdoors. So we've been doing very there at Compass Point. And then throughout the county, which I think you're going to see a theme today, is waters everywhere. So we have about 22 car top boat launch areas throughout northern all the way through the south part of the county. We're very proud of these. We had a lot of assistance with the water access committee and commission to kind of identify these and to put more infrastructure in these areas so that people can get out on the water. And if you want to know where some of these sites are, we have a great tool. You can go to our website. We just launched this. It's called Park Finder. It's an interactive tool that will not only give you where our car top launches are, it gives you the details of the amenities that are in the park or anything else that you want to know about our department and everything that we have to offer. So we truly have something for everyone here in Anne Arundel Rec and Parks, and I'm certainly just very fortunate to be leading this great department.
Thank you, Rick. And yeah, it is really impressive when you get to see all those pictures too.
Yeah,
Um, it's just downright beautiful. And I have to tell you something that I'm kind of embarrassed about this because I never did it. But when I decided to run for county executive, I went and I bought myself a little kayak, and I told my wife that I was going to kayak all the way around the county because the county is almost an island because you do the
right.
Patuxent River, and that's
Yeah,
most of the west side of the county.
yeah,
And then when I realized there was 530 miles of coast on the other side because of the Chesapeake Bay, um, I gave up. But if you're up for it, if you're up for it for a challenge, you and I can
yeah.
try that. You
Yeah,
think
we'll
we could
give
get that
ourselves
done before?
a few months to get through that one. I'll take
I
that challenge.
I can't even complete your Lifeline 100 bike ride. So I don't know, 530 miles on a kayak is maybe a bit much, but
Take baby
some,
steps. We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
somebody should do it. But and you did talk about a lot of water access sites, and we're not done. I mean, we've just acquired the land at Quiet Waters for the Quiet Waters Retreat,
Yes.
which we've got to improve that to
Yeah.
improve water access,
Yeah.
and and we need more. And then I also got to put a quick plug in before we move on
Sure.
for our marinas because in addition to the two county boat launches that we have, the private marinas have boat launches that people can use. They'll charge you, somewhere
Yeah.
25, $30 to put your boat in
Yeah.
the water. But so you just call and see where you can do that. And I have a crazy idea I shouldn't even throw out there, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway in case anybody out there in Facebook land wants to help make this happen, which is Anne Arundel County River Days. We have the most beautiful rivers, and everyone's got history. Everyone's got a river keeper and environmental work that's going on. So we got the Patapsco, the Magathie, the Severn, the South, the West, and the Road, and Herring Bay. We could do every Saturday in the summer, man. We could do a festival at each river, and people could get on boats like they do at down at City Dock, private boats, and go out on boat rides and experience the water in a way they never have. So I'll stop with that because I just get so excited about this stuff that I'll create a whole
That's
lot
fine.
more work for your
Yeah.
staff, Rick.
Yeah,
that
I
they
got
probably
that.
don't have time to do right now, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
So let's move on now to some of the history. We've got Carol Benson, um, Executive Director of the Four Rivers Heritage Area. And well, you can just jump right in, Carol. Tell us what that is and where we should visit.
Okay, thanks so much, Stuart. So I agree that this is the time of year that we want to have fun and get out and about. And speaking about all the rivers around here, our organization is called the Four Rivers Heritage Area, and I hope you've heard of it. We are an umbrella organization for history and heritage here in Anne Arundel County, but we're not the entire county. We're a lot of the maritime communities. So our boundaries start up at Sandy Point State Park, and then the boundary line runs along Route 50 and then down the east side of Route 2 all the way down to the county line with Calvert County. So that's our heritage area. And our you see our website there is called fourriversheritage.org. We've got information about all kinds of attractions that are history and heritage in this area and the information about how to visit them and so forth. For today, I've chosen some sites. I've vetted these to make sure that these are the sites that are open right now. You know that some museums and attractions have not reopened to the public since COVID, but the museums have been inundated with training webinars on safe practices. And so some of the attractions have opened to the public. And if you visit each one of their websites, you'll see what practices they have in place to keep the visitors safe. You can feel confident in visiting these attractions. And I'm even going to mention some where you're invited to come inside. I'm going to talk first about three sites in South County. The first one is historic London Town and Gardens in Edgewater. Now, this is a beautiful waterfront site. It has 10 acres of woodland gardens and trails, a very beautiful site. The website for them is historiclondontown.org, and they've reopened the gardens and some of the buildings. You can visit from Wednesdays through Sundays from 10 to 4. They've got 30-minute walking tours available on Saturday and Sunday at 11 and at 2:30. Right now, the historic house called the William Brown House is closed, but some of the other reconstructed buildings are open. And in this case, this is one of the museums that has put practices into place, such as you go on a one-way path through the building. There are lots of safety practices and 6-foot distances, and you will enter by reservation and timed entries. So you can feel really happy about visiting this absolutely beautiful site. As some people notice on Facebook, they're constantly posting pictures of the interesting plants and flowers that are out in the gardens. I think this month their What's in Bloom page talks about the naked lady lilies and the black-eyed Susans that are blooming. That's one fun thing about their website is it mentions all the different things that are in bloom by month. I think you'll want to go visit historic London Town and Gardens. The second site in South County I wanted to highlight is called the Galesville Heritage Museum in Galesville in South County. This is a small, all volunteer run heritage society that runs a small museum. And they are courageous enough to have reopened the site on Sundays from 1 to 4. They're letting you know that they have a brand new exhibit called Steamboat Excursions to Belle Grove that has to do with the steamboats that called at the different sites along the rivers. And they do encourage, if you want your own tour of the site that's not Sundays from 1 to 4, you can contact them at the Galesville Museum at gmail.com. This is a kind of a wonderful small town history museum that has exhibits about the watermen working the land there in Galesville, the boats, the decoys, the archaeology. It's a wonderful, multifaceted little museum, and they have arranged to be open in this time of COVID on Sundays from 1 to 4. It's a delightful site. The third,
Can I just add that when
yeah,
you're done, you can just walk down the road and then you can go to either Pirates Cove or Riverside and get a drink out on the water, or you can go to that little public dock there, and it's a really beautiful spot just to see the water and maybe have a drink or two.
you're right, just like a block away. Who wouldn't want to do that, to have a beautiful waterfront drink and meal on the water? So Galesville is an absolute gem. I also wanted to mention the Captain Avery Museum in Shadyside is undergoing renovations and the building is not open, but the grounds are always open. You can look them up at captainaverymuseum.org. They have a wonderful slide video that shows the results of their recent renovations inside. Their grounds have some exhibits. They have some history boats on the grounds and a demonstration rain garden for folks. You can see this beautiful dock. If this picture were turned around, you can look out across the water and you can see all the way to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. It's a wonderful vista. They have interpretive panels out there. So even though right now you can't go inside the museum, you can always visit the grounds. So if you're down there and all of those houses are private property and you wish you could see, visit the Captain Avery Museum. So then there are three sites in Annapolis I
Where
wanted
there's
to
a really good
highlight.
oyster festival, right? We have to
Absolutely.
wait till next year.
In October, usually there's a wonderful oyster festival at Captain Avery that draws quite a crowd. So there's three sites in Annapolis I wanted to mention that these are open to the public right now. The William Peka House's gardens. The Peka House right now isn't open, but the gardens are open. And the staff has put a lot of effort into making this a great visit. So they're open on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 to 2. There are two options. You can have a docent led tour, and they've entitled this Garden Pleasures and Historic Treasures. Or you can go through the garden with a self guided map. And so there's a way on their website to register in advance for your visit or for your tour. And you know that these gardens are absolutely beautiful, and it's a nice way in downtown Annapolis to be in the middle of a garden and to feel like you've been transported back in history. So this is a wonderful site right there in downtown Annapolis. So in this view, you can see that you're way deep in the gardens and you're looking back up at the back of the Peka House. If you haven't been there before, it's a great place to go. The next slide features the Hammond Harwood House. And this is another one of these historic sites that's brave enough to make a plan and reopen to the public. They've just recently reopened. Their tours are every day except Tuesday. You can reserve one but between 12 and 5. And on these tours, you will see their two new brand new exhibits. The first one is called Decadent Decor Global Imports in an American Port City. And you can understand that this has to do with the fanciful decor of a historic house. And the other one is called Slavery at Hammond Harwood House, that takes on the topic of the enslaved individuals that interacted with this historic house. And Hammond Harwood has also developed two new walking tours. They're not offered every day. So on their website, you'll see when the next ones are offered. One is called the Jane Austen Tour, and one is called the William Buckland Walking Tour. And so I think both of those will be fantastic walking tours that'll take you throughout downtown Annapolis. And finally, I wanted to mention the Alex Haley Memorial at City Dock. Now, this is something everyone can see 24/7. And when you go down to look at the water, there it is. The actual official name of it is the Kunta Kinte Alex Haley Memorial. And you can visit their website at www.kintahaley.org to find out more about exactly what that memorial is and the other resources that are related. But if you click through that website, you will find a virtual tour guide set of videos that were actually developed with a Four Rivers mini grant. And you can also access these by QR codes that are attached to the bronze panels downtown next to the statues and next to the plaques. And on the video, you will see Chris Haley, who's the nephew of Alex Haley, as the speaker on the videos, telling you a little bit more about the history. And I think a lot of people don't know about the videos and the QR codes and the fact that they can hear directly from Chris Haley a lot more about his uncle and about this wonderful monument. So when you're down there, there's lots more that you can learn about Alex Haley. Right here, the statue group depicts him telling the story of his ancestor, Kunta Kinte, to some children. And you know, this is right at City Dock, the location where slave ships more or less would have offloaded enslaved people right there in the vicinity that City Dock is today. It's such a historic, resonant place that you can really steep yourself in the history when you're down there. But also, you know that downtown Annapolis has art galleries, it has shopping, It has something called Dining Under the Stars, where they close down the roads and they put the restaurant tables out. So when you do visit downtown, all of these things are happening now, even during COVID. So take advantage of what there is to do in your own backyard.
Thank you, Carol, and I'm so glad that you ended with the Alex Haley and the City Dock statues. I know my kids go down there, and kids are just drawn to those statues, and it creates conversations that would never have otherwise happened. I know it has in my family, um, and we're gonna move on to Jane Cox, but I just want to say how glad I am that when history is being told in this county now, it's being told differently than it was 20 years ago. There's the African American experience in Anne Arundel County, and it's different than the white experience in Anne Arundel County. So it's not just the homes of the plantation owners anymore. It's about the people who built those homes and the people who built this county. And I know that during the um, recently, after some of these marches led by young African American residents of this county, leaders of the future, one of the things that they've said loud and clear is that they don't feel like the history of this county is taught well enough in our school system, and they want more of that. So the place to learn it right now is these sites and these organizations that are telling this history like it hasn't been told before. And I know we're going to hear more of that from Jane. So, but Jane, who's really our county historian, Jane Cox, chief of our Cultural Resources Division of the Office of Planning and Zoning, probably knows more about the history of this county than anybody, all the way back to the Native Americans who were here long before the white folks showed up. Um, so, what do you got, Jane?
Thank you very much. I've been working for the county for 23 years, and I have to say, when we were trying to come up with a list of what historic sites to highlight, it was really tough to pick because we have over 4,000 historic buildings, archaeological sites, historic cemeteries, and historic districts. So it's kind of like picking your favorite kid, and so it was a little tough to pick. But we a few things really came out of the woodwork that can't be missed if you're going to try to get out and about during these times. It strikes me that with the number of sites that I'll be sharing with you that are also county parks, the heavy park access, Rick, that you mentioned, this may make it worse. I'm not sure if we should tell anybody about this stuff, right? But let me start with a couple of historic houses that we have in the county. As Carol mentioned, there's a lot of alternative access being dreamed up by the people that are managing these parks and these historic properties. And the emphasis on historic museums and museum houses where you can go in and see deck arts. This is, in a way, a real great opportunity to experience historic landscapes and more about the exteriors of the properties, the grounds that went with all of these historic homes. So I'm going to highlight real quickly three colonial era homes. Linthicum Walks. This is a little pocket park, 5 acres, that's nestled between the school campus of Crofton Middle School and the new Crofton High School. And it really is an amazing respite from the modern world. It is open for pedestrian access year round, and it is an accredited arboretum, so you can really get your fix on learning about the amazing vegetation that they're preserving there, all in the backdrop of this 18th century house with a 19th century addition. The house is listed on the National Register. And while it's not currently open for tours, you can go access the grounds and look at the exterior of the historic building. And you can also investigate the historic cemetery of the Linthicum family. The Friends of Linthicum Walks that manages the property on behalf of the county are going to be hosting a Zoom lecture on August 22nd with Joe Brown, who is the author of From Sotweed to Suburbia, and he'll be telling the history of Linthicum Walks. So if you can't get out there and you can only do something virtually, that would be a great opportunity. And the website's shared here. So the other park that I'm going to talk about that's a county park that's also run by a Friends of group is Hancock's Resolution. This is up in Bayside Beach, and it is one of the few remaining stone dwellings from the county's colonial era. And what's really cool about this place is that it was never modernized. Somebody lived in it until the 60s with no running water. It is also listed on the National Register. And again, while you can't go inside right now, the park itself is open. And the Friends of Hancock's recently constructed this visitor center, which will be hopefully opening in post COVID times. But you can also enjoy a self guided walking tour that they have just launched, and we'll be getting that virtual tour up on our website. And again, you can explore cemeteries. Some people really get a kick out of visiting historic cemeteries, and here's another one that you can go and delve back in the genealogy of the Hancock family. The next one I'm going to talk about is Goshen Farm. Goshen Farm is up in Cape St. Clair. It was built around 1790. And again, this is one of those hidden treasures that is nestled in the middle of suburbia. A 22-acre property is adjacent to Cape St. Clair Elementary School. It's mostly wooded. It offers trails, beautiful landscapes. You can get out and enjoy the outdoors. And while they're only going to be offering tours in the spring and fall for an open house, right now visitors can take advantage of a self-guided walking tour. You can visit a shallow wildlife pond, a pollinator garden and monarch way station, and a memorial grove. They also host a large community garden, and this is really an emphasis on them celebrating the county's agricultural heritage. So, with these historic houses, I'm going to take a little bit of a shift now and talk about ways that you can learn about history in the great outdoors. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of a different angle from on Fort Smallwood Park. Rick already mentioned Fort Smallwood as a great beach access point and the fishing pier, but Fort Smallwood has so much history packed in. It is just an astounding place to go learn more about every period of the county's history. There are, as you see here, this is a fort that was built in 1896 to protect Baltimore Harbor during the Spanish American War. There's a barracks on the property that was of the same era. And there are interpretive signs to tell you a little bit of history about the area. You can also visit, when you visit, you can also see the original layout of the park. it the fort really fell to the wayside fairly soon, and in the early 20th century, it became one of the most popular beach and bathing parks in the region. And you see a picture here from probably the 1940s. Um, Now, what's really interesting about the history of this park is there's also a civil rights era storyline. It was such a popular attraction after World War II, but it was segregated. And the NAACP brought suit in federal court in the 1950s, challenging the park's policy of racial segregation. The case was argued and won in front of Thurgood Marshall. So we have a lot of really tight connections to the local community in that case. And so the park is just an amazing range of history. And this is a concession stand that is from the 1930s park era that was recently restored and open for business again. So you can buy your bait. Another opportunity to get out, and this theme of being out on the water, I wanted to highlight the Magathie River Association and a water trail that this nonprofit has put together, which you can access online and download, and then get in your kayak and go check it out. It's a collection of sites, both natural and cultural, along the shores of the Magathie River. It's a great way to explore your own Back Creek history. So some of the highlights, Spriggs Farm, also a county park and a car top boat launch water access point. And the other site that they put a really good story together on with this water trail is Beechwood Park. So Beechwood Park is up at the headwaters of the Magathie River, and it's a recent county acquisition. And the park, which is now a wooded lot, used to be in the 1940s a absolutely popular beach resort. People would come down on the railroads from Baltimore and visit, and it catered to an interracial clientele. But it became very popular among African Americans who sought to enjoy a day at the beach, and there was an amusement park. James Brown and Ike and Tina Turner once played at Beechwood Park. So it's now a wooded lot, and hopefully someday we'll continue to share that story about the history of Beechwood. So next we're going to take another turn to a county park that Rick mentioned, Jug Bay Wetland Sanctuary down in Lothian. Now, this is one of the really cool sites in the county that, oh, sorry about that. So at Jug Bay, our team with the Cultural Resources Division has been researching the archaeology of Jug Bay, where we have over 13,000 years of history. In this At this site at Pendle Bluffs is one of the earliest arrowheads we've ever found in the county, called a Clovis Point. And we offer, on a limited basis, public archaeology access to the site, and you work alongside professional archaeologists. We've had to make a lot of changes for our programming to be able to do the hands-on archaeology, but if you are interested in learning more about that program, we're going to be digging here through the fall on Thursdays. And you can email volunteers at losttownsproject.org to learn more about volunteering. And basically, everybody gets their own screen 10 feet away from everybody else so we can adhere to all the social distancing requirements. Um, so now, real quickly, I'm going to take a little turn to more of our virtual access tours. If you don't feel comfortable getting out of the house, or you just want to go exploring and it's late at night and you want to learn more about the history of the county, I'm going to share a couple of virtual tours and YouTube resources that you can learn about. We launched last year, our department launched the Four Rivers Heritage Trails, African American Voices, Memories, and Places. And one of the sites that we highlight is Galesville. Now, I will say, no one is paying us to plug Galesville. It's just a really fantastic place. So the virtual tour tells the story about African American heritage throughout the Four Rivers Heritage Area, and it's really a place where you can use that virtual tour to then go stroll through the streets, check out West Benning Road, check out the dock, and as Stuart mentioned, find Pirates Cove and Stan and Joe's to have a libation at the end of your walk. Um, the next thing I'm going to share is going up to North County. The North Arundel Cultural Preservation Society has been doing a lot of research and programming about truck farms in northern Anne Arundel County. Now, these truck farms once dotted northern Anne Arundel County in the late 19th century, but as you can imagine, development has caused a lot of those to go away, but the stories still survive. And the NACAPS organization, the North Arundel Cultural Preservation Society, has a video on their website where you can learn about the families of the Gaither families, the Hines, the Matthews, the Sims, the Spencers, and Williams, and learn about their families' direct experiences as truck farmers, as African American truck farmers in North County. And there are some really compelling and moving stories to hear from that video if you have a chance to look at it. The final thing I'm going to share with you is a new program that our office has just launched to highlight these historic places by putting roadside signs up so that people know where the history is. We have launched these 9 heritage sites have been recognized by the historic program so far. And in the coming year, we are going to be accepting nominations for where we should put the next signs. So if you have an historic site that you think deserves attention, give us a ring, and we'll try to get a nomination in so you can have your historic site recognized with a roadside marker. And that is the history that I can do in 8 to 10 minutes. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a whole hour with each of these speakers, I think, to really make this work. But that photograph of Fort Smallwood with all those people was pretty striking, and I remember seeing some photographs of Beverly Triton as well, and other places in the county that had mobs of people that were there. And I think somebody wrote a book about this. But if you think about it, it was before the Bay Bridge was built. We were Ocean City. We were the Eastern Shore. We were the place where people from Baltimore and DC and everywhere came to get to the water because there was no way to get across. So, or you had to drive all the way around. For anybody who's complaining about the traffic at our beaches, it used to be a whole lot worse. Not that it's not a problem now, but it used to be pretty crazy, it looks like. All right, so now sticking with the water theme, we have a lot of water. We are in Arundel County with our 530 miles of coast. None of the history of the farms and what went on in this county probably would have happened had it not been for the maritime industry and the oysters and the fish and all of the things that came out of the bay, and the steamboats that traveled up and down the county to take people their supplies. So we have a maritime museum, and we have Alice Estrada to make sure that history is told.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman. First of all, yes, we are the Annapolis Maritime Museum in Park. If you don't know, we actually do have a park campus as well. We have most of you are familiar with the museum campus in Eastport, but we also 3 years ago took over what's known as the Eleanor Moyer Nature Park on Back Creek. Our museum, sadly, is not open. It's not open because we are just finishing installing really exciting, state of the art new exhibits. But they're all high touch, high tech. So it's really, really challenging for us to figure out a way to open to the public with these COVID restrictions because that, of course, pre pandemic was the way to go for museums. But stay tuned. One of these days, sooner rather than later, I hope we will be opening our new museum exhibit. But our Edgewood Park, it does have a mile of trails to enjoy. It also has a sublease with Capital Stand Up Paddleboard so you can launch a canoe or kayak at both campuses actually, and we have piers for fishing, so you can get out and enjoy our museum exhibits, outdoor exhibits rather, at both campuses, but just not inside. But the good news is we acquired a 75-foot skipjack by the name of Wilma Lee. She was built in 1940. She's was built in the on the eastern shore, and for 60 years she was used to harvest oysters. If you're not familiar, a skipjack is very indigenous to our area in the Chesapeake Bay. Roma Lee is one of only 22 remaining skipjacks. And at one time there were 1,000. So we're very grateful to have saved her. And just this month, we started offering public tours. So we have a variety of tours to offer our guests, and this is a great way to learn, as I say, what you can't find in the history books. And Stuart, again, you were alluding to that. What's our local history about, and how do we find out about it? So you will really learn about how to, what happened when you oystered on Wilma Lee 80 years ago, but also you'll learn about points of interest around Annapolis. So we're sure to point out some of the iconic scenic opportunities, including the Naval Academy, which is just a treasure trove of our history. So that's just a wonderful tour. We offer heritage tours Friday through Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m., and they are offered from City Dock. We also offer a sunset cruise. This is an example of one, and this sunset cruise offers complimentary beverages, including adult beverages. So you must be 21 or over to enjoy a sunset cruise, and they're offered Friday set through Sunday between 5:30 and 6 p.m. Sometimes the times vary, so always check the website. And they're offered as well from City Dock. We also offer a cruise from the Annapolis Maritime Museum campus in Eastport for the Wednesday night races. And if you haven't experienced the races, from land they're exciting, but from water they're even better to go out and see these boats. These one design sailboats have fierce competition. If you're lucky enough to see all these spinnakers go up, it's absolutely extraordinary. It's just spectacular to view. In addition, we do have education cruises. Again, these are harder to offer right now with the pandemic, but we will offer those in earnest in the next year, I hope. And we also have private charters. I will say the boat, you can social distance on this boat. It is, after all, 75 feet. We have demarcations where you're 6 feet apart. So it is easy to do that. And normally our capacity for the boat is 75, I'm sorry, 46 passengers, including captain and crew. So right now we operate at half capacity, which is 23. So it's really quite spacious and easy to operate. And I'm really happy to offer Anne Arundel County residents a special coupon code for $5 off. And this is easy to remember. It's AACO, Anne Arundel County. You just put that in if you visit our website, amaritime.org, and you purchase a ticket. And that's going to be $5 off any one of our cruises through Labor Day. But please come out and enjoy your local history and
Thank you, Alice.
sure.
I really hope that we can get through this COVID thing ASAP when it's safe because your museum is just when you walk into that place. I don't know about other people. I just get a good feeling from it. It's so real, down to earth. You know, the wooden floors and everything, and the exhibits. Great events there. It's a great place. I've been there for memorial services. I've been there for political events. There's all kinds of stuff that happens there, and we got to get that thing get going again. But thank
Well,
you for
when
everything
we
you're
get
doing.
there, it won't disappoint. I promise. It'll be
It'll
worth
be
the
even
wait.
better than before. Great, good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out on Wilma Lee.
Yes,
So
we're gonna set that up.
let's move on. Now we have Susan Seifried from Visit Annapolis in Anne Arundel County. They are our tourism agency based right in downtown Annapolis. And most of what Susan's going to talk about, I think, is Annapolis based, although they represent the whole county. And um, you know, Annapolis is really sort of I always think of Anne Arundel County as the heart of Maryland. It's right in the middle, and it's actually sort of shaped like maybe more like a liver, but it's the heart right in the middle. And Annapolis is really the heart of Anne Arundel County, and it's just an incredible place. So tell us what you got, Susan.
Thank you. Well, what strikes me right now is just how lucky so many of us are to call Annapolis and Anne Arundel County home. I mean, we've been looking at so many beautiful images of rural countryside and waterfront activities, and they're all right in our own backyard. At Visit Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, we talk regularly to people who travel hundreds of miles to enjoy a waterfront vacation. Yet we who live here can enjoy all of this by just walking out the front door or walking down the street or walking around the corner. So I'll be focusing today on some of the many on the water experiences that you can tap into in and around Annapolis. As you can see, and as Stuart said, and everyone has said, we're just miles and miles, hundreds of miles of waterfront, and people travel hundreds of miles to get here. So we welcome the Wilma Lee. It's exciting, the addition to cruises that are offered from City Dock, and the Wilma Lee joins a number of other boats that are operating from there. The schooner Woodwind is one of them. It's a 27-year-old family operated business. They have a pair of twin 74-foot wooden schooners, and they offer 2 hour sailing cruises. And during the Wednesday night sailboat races, the boats compete against one another. So if you happen to take a cruise on the Woodwind on a Wednesday night, you'll actually be competing against a fellow Woodwind, if you will. They're twin boats, the Woodwind and the Woodwind 2, and this happens to be the 15th year anniversary of the movie The Wedding Crashers, and Woodwind 2 was in that movie. So there's a lot of talk about that when you go out on the boat. They are practicing COVID-19 protocols. They can seat 24 people now. Pre COVID-19, they could seat 48 people, but the people aboard are in zone seating. So each zone is 6 feet away from the next zone. So everybody on the boat can practice safe social distancing. Another boat that departs from City Dock is the Harbor Queen. It's a watermark vessel. It's in its 47th year. And what they offer is 40-minute narrated cruises of the Annapolis Harbor and past the U.S. Naval Academy. In a COVID 19 environment, they can handle 98 people. Pre COVID, it was more than 200 people. So, again, you have plenty of space to safely distance yourself on the boat. And because it is a narrated cruise, you learn a lot about the Chesapeake Bay and ecology and the history of Annapolis when you take that cruise. The Miss Anne is another boat that departs from City Dock. She offers 40-minute cruises up Spa Creek. So what you'll see is some of the beautiful homes along Spa Creek. And what they're offering now during this COVID time is a 40-minute buyout. You can buy the Miss Anne for 40 minutes for a 40-minute cruise, or you can charter her for 2 or 3 or 4 hours. And she comes with a captain and a cooler. So there you are. And what they can do, how many people they can accommodate during COVID-19 is 14 people. So if you have your family and or people you've been quarantining with and you want to make it your boat for a wonderful cruise on the water, the Miss Anne can do that for you. So at Visit Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, we always tell people, I'll look at the next slide. We always tell people that when you come here, you have to get out on the water. And some people, they just don't have 2 hours to spare. And some people don't even have 40 minutes to spare. And when that's the case, we say, hey, hop on the water taxi. It's a great ride, it's a fun view. And it takes maybe 5 minutes from City Dock to go across Spa Creek and end up in Eastport. And what they're doing with the water taxi during a COVID-19 environment is they're allowing people to rent her by the hour, which I think is so exciting. It's great because the water taxi, anybody who's been on the water taxi loves it. And the fact that you could turn it into your own vessel for an hour is wonderful. And it comes with a captain, and you bring your own beverages, and 14 people can fit on that boat during COVID-19 times. So when you head to Eastport, what comes to mind immediately is kayaking and canoeing and stand-up paddle boarding. Annapolis Canoe and Kayak is right there at Second Street. Kayak Annapolis is at Truxton Park. It's a great way to see nature, see the ecology of the bay, and see historic sites as you go along the way. See, look at that. What a beautiful view. You're downtown at City Dock, you're in Ego Alley, you're looking at the State House, you're looking at the dome of the Naval Academy, you see St. Anne's Church at the head of Main Street. It's just a wonderful perspective for seeing downtown Annapolis. So stand-up paddleboarding is another popular thing that a lot of people like to take advantage of. Alice had mentioned that Capital SUP is based at the Annapolis Maritime Museum Park, so that's easily accessible. And Sunrise SUP is located in Edgewater, where you can launch your own kayak. But look how beautiful that is. You're out in nature, you're breathing the fresh air, you're in the sunshine, you're seeing the historic sites. So it's just a great way to be with family and friends, safely socially distanced in a COVID-19 world. Another thing that you might want to do if you come to downtown Annapolis on your staycation, if you have young kids, is take advantage of the Sea Gypsy. It's Pirate Adventures on the Chesapeake. And what they're doing, it's largely for young kids who dress up like pirates and shoot water cannons at an ornery pirate that they're pursuing in the bay. But what they're doing during COVID-19 is they're offering private charters for up to 10 people. They're offering private charters for up to 20 people, and then they also offer cruises for mixed family charters up to 4 families. But each family is safely distanced from the other family on the boat. So again, it's a safe way to get out and have a fun time on the water during this COVID-19 time. Another option in Eastport to take advantage of is Annapolis Electric Boat Rentals. You'll see them on that slide. They can handle up to 10 people. It's basically your boat. You charter it for a 1 to 3 hour cruise. It's your boat, 10 people. You're the captain, which is pretty fun. And the maximum speed is 5 miles per hour. So when you're cruising around Spa Creek and Back Creek, you feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about the fact that maybe you would too, that you can only go 5 miles per hour. So there is some level of control there. And the fact that it's your family is that COVID-19 protection that we're talking about, or people that you've quarantined with. So although this next slide takes us to a part that's slightly outside of Annapolis, it's still very much in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. It's Sandy Point State Park. And so it offers wonderful ways to get out on the water. There's 22 public boat ramps there, and they even have a small craft boat launch. So if you're bringing your kayak or your canoe or your stand-up paddleboard, they have that small craft boat launch for you there. The park is 786 acres, and they have fishing if you want to go fishing. They have a mile-long public swimming beach. They have restroom and shower facilities. So it's a great way to spend an afternoon on a beautiful sandy beach on the Chesapeake Bay and to save yourself the extra hours it would take to take you to Ocean City. You have it right here. You have it right here in Anne Arundel County. So these next slides that are coming up are just one way to share with you in this little bit of time that we have some of the beautiful things that you're likely to see if you're out and about on the water in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, or you're near the water. Thomas Point Shoal Lighthouse is the only lighthouse, screw pile lighthouse in its original location on the Chesapeake Bay. You saw the beautiful nature that you'll see, herons and osprey, beautiful sunsets over Spot Creek, water views at street end parks, which are everywhere in our destination, crabbing Everybody loves to go crabbing. And then in the next slide, you'll see that you can reap the fruits of your labors. And I bet everyone watching catches that many crabs when they're out on an afternoon in Annapolis on the Chesapeake Bay. And then they get to enjoy it. You get to enjoy it with your family. But again, just opportunities to be outside, stroll the piers, check out nature. If you're into photography, grab a camera and capture some of these beautiful shots. Boats all over the place, lovely to see. Moonlight over Eastport, a sunrise over City Dock in the next slide. So that was just a really quick overview of some of the things that you can do, which is why I take you here to the Visitor Center. It's at 26 West Street and it is open during COVID 19. Our COVID 19 hours are Thursday through Sunday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. each day. We have many safety protocols in place for you. You'll have your temperature check. You need to wear a mask. We have distancing signs throughout the center for making your way to our volunteer information specialists who will help you plan your wonderful staycation in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. And finally, the next slide, I would ask that you, if you want, when you're on your staycation, share what you're doing. Like, let the world know what you're doing. There are a lot of people out there who wish they were traveling to Annapolis and Anne Arundel County this summer. They just don't feel comfortable at this time making that long journey. But they are planning their trips. We hear from them. So if you plant a seed and share something that you've done and you've enjoyed, it's quite possible that they'll pick up your tip and add it to their itinerary so that when they do come, they'll take advantage of it. If you follow us on social media, we'll be happy to keep you posted on everything that we know about that's coming down, like when new restaurants open, which they have opened in COVID 19, when attractions reopen, which they're reopening every day, when things like the Wilma Lee happen, we put that out there. I mean, we put word out there. And so if you choose to follow us, we'll keep you up to date. And if you choose to tag us, we can help push your message out to those travelers who want to come here so desperately. So I guess my final words would be happy staycation in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Susan. That was really great.
So much more to say.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you, Jenny Probstel, for getting all those pictures to come through at the right time with every speaker. I was worried that that was going to be difficult to do, but that was really really great having all those visuals. And we're almost out of time, but we do have a few questions that came in, and it's interesting. They're from people who um, want more. Rick. They want more. They want more trails. They want more parks. They want more stuff to do. They want more public space. They want more water access. And so there's a Mike who says, "Where can I take my grandchildren for a swim in the Magathie or Severn rivers?" Part of the answer is not enough places. Do you have an answer on that, Rick?
I don't have an answer for swimming, but you certainly are able to wade in the Magathie for sure in both of our public park spaces. Spriggs Farm, which is a newly acquired property that we are hoping to be able to develop in the future years to be able to accommodate more people. And Jane mentioned there's a lot of history there. You're certainly welcome to come and explore both of those. Swimming in water is very shallow, so it just depends on what you define swimming as. But certainly, you can come out and enjoy the water and enjoy the park.
Yeah, we have the beach open, and we're doing going to be doing some major improvements at Beverly Triton, where
Yes,
there is a little strip of a beach. It's a nice long beach,
it is.
but yeah, you gotta go a long way before it gets to even your waist if you're as tall as
Exactly
I
right.
am. But
Yeah,
yeah, which is why Sandy Point is so crowded,
yeah,
and the demand for places to get on the bay is huge, and you can understand why people who live in places where they want to get out to the open space
yeah,
and be on the bay, and so we have to do more of that.
yeah.
Um, but there's a water access committee, right? Is it committee now? It's
Yeah, the committee is still very active, and we've made a ton of progress, but I know there's still work to do, and we're looking for those opportunities to continue to improve on what we've done. But we've done a lot to point. But we're looking forward to
Yeah.
continue the effort. Yeah.
And if people want to get involved in the advocacy, they can go to I know on Facebook they're active, Anne Arundel Water Access Committee.
Yep.
Um, I'm
They're
not sure if
active.
you
Um, our rec advisory board is certainly a place where also they can weigh in on that. They've been very engaged and taking the initiative a lot this year as far as department direction. So we lean heavily on them as well.
And then we've got a question from a Jesse Ann. It's while there's an abundance of parks in our county, could more land or trails be set aside in the South County area for hiking, biking, and horseback riding? Most of the parks are situated in West and North County and are more geared toward team youth sports and family picnic opportunities. It's funny how everybody, no matter where they live in Anne Arundel County, they
It's never
believe all
enough.
the yeah, yeah, which is
We
it's good. I
It
mean,
is good. It's a good
yeah,
problem to have, and we know that we can certainly do all that we can, but it's never enough. We can't build enough fields. We can't build enough parks. There are opportunities in South County. Most of the land is undeveloped, but we certainly will continue to try to put some of that those thoughts in the pipeline. The good thing is we're getting ready to start in the next year or two another long range plan. So hopefully we get a lot of input. The same person that maybe asked that question certainly can have some input on that plan, and we can begin to put some of those things in the pipeline for future parks and amenities.
and I would also encourage that person and that getting involved in the advocacy is good, and getting involved in some of these organizations for there's another question here that's specifically about equestrian trails in South County and Rockhole Creek Farm, where I know that's county land where there's possibility of
Yeah.
doing some things. Um, but there's an organization called Trail Riders of Today,
Hmm.
or the Maryland Horse Council is also connected to Trail
Yes,
Riders of Today. And they not only do advocacy to get trails opened up, but they actually get out there and clear some trails, which is really important.
it is.
And some of our mountain bike folks have done the same thing: is get out onto the land and clear the trails for their use.
Right.
Um, and um, and that's really helpful as
And
well.
I like that because we recognize that we certainly just don't have, especially now post COVID, there's just not going to be an abundance of funds to be able to just do everything for everybody. But the more that these partnerships develop, whether it be a private or a nonprofit, we certainly are looking forward to working together with them to bring some quality improvements to some of the land that we already own. So that's kind of been our marching orders, and we've had some success, as you just mentioned, in mountain biking, but we certainly look forward in doing a little bit more in that respect and getting some more things done for the residents.
So they've done trails at Bacon Ridge, which is right next to the Crownsville Hospital Center, and then we've just acquired land just adjacent to that, just north and east, the Forney property. So
Yes.
that will also be
Yeah,
opened up.
we're exactly right. We're happy about that acquisition. It certainly protects additional acreage, but it also provides a more access, which is a big problem at Bacon Ridge. So we're looking to maybe connect some of that trail with the current trail that's already been done and provide a little more access for the residents. So we'll continue to work with our partners there and continue to bring things to the forefront.
And the last question we have is more of a request. Can you please mandate bike trails alongside all road maintenance, or I guess lanes, really inaccessible for bicycles? And fortunately, we have a strong advocacy organization working on that. It's Bike AAA, is that right?
Yeah,
Would that
yeah.
be how to
The
find
bike
them
and the
online?
bike commission, bike AAA, but also the bicycle commission, which comprises of other individuals, both county and I believe some other private partners. But they've done a great job with not just the trails, but also the roadways, and especially as new roads go in or roads being redone, they certainly have been very vocal in making sure there's bike lanes, so they're just alternative modes of transportation. And that's the way you look at it. It's not just recreation, but it's really a transportation issue for them. So John Corn has just done a great job kind of leading that effort, and he's in regular contact with our department as well.
Yeah, our transportation master plan that was just approved by the council and put together over the last year or two. is called Move Anne Arundel, and it's multimodal. It's not just about moving cars; it's about moving people, and those trails are really an important part of that. And so you can get involved in advocacy as well, but we need to do more. So we've got our work cut out for us. And I know that all of you and your organizations are working to identify more sites and make more opportunity. We have a lot of good stuff. Thank you for presenting it all to everybody who's vacationing at home this summer.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.